Welcome to Women Lead, a production of the Women of Color Empowerment Institute. We are your hosts. I'm Bernadette Norris Weeks.
I'm Michelle Austin Pammies.
And I'm Kathy Eggleston.
Today's show is about funding your big ideas and how to pursue venture capital or other investment capital for your business.
This is a timely subject since over the last decade, the number of businesses owned by women of color has skyrocketed, increasing by 322% despite a lack of capital investment.
Well, to be more specific about that lack of capital investment, research by Project Diane finds that Black women-led startups have raised just 0.0006, that's 6/10,000ths of a percent of the $424.7 billion in total technology venture funding raised since 2009.
But hope is on the way. Recently, more venture funds with missions to include and even concentrate on businesses owned by entrepreneurs of color have begun springing up, with some significant ones started by successful people of color. For example, Sundial Brands founder Richelieu Denis has founded the New Voices Fund, which will invest $100 million in businesses owned or managed by women of color, including startups, established businesses, and community enterprises.
Clearly, we have a lot to discuss with our guests today, both of whom are enabling the conversation on women of color getting their ideas funded. They are Melissa Jackson, a certified project manager who has helped both national and international businesses clarify their business strategies to attract investor funding, and Felicia Hatcher, author, entrepreneur, well-known co-founder of Black Tech Week Miami, and the new CEO of Grammy Award-winning music producer Pharrell's new Black Ambition Capital Initiative. This is a powerhouse show today. Don't move. We'll be right back.
At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
Welcome back to Women Lead. We are pleased to have with us Melissa Jackson. Melissa is a certified project manager who helps creators, from corporate innovation teams to grassroots entrepreneurs, define goals and objectives and deliver continuous incremental value. Her coaching, workshops, and toolkits leverage design thinking and agile principles. And she has worked both nationally and internationally across a variety of industries to help people launch products and programs from concept to execution. And she's a past speaker at our National Women of Color Empowerment Conference. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks, ladies. It's wonderful to see you all again.
Melissa, what are venture capitalists looking for when considering funding a startup?
So, understand an investor is looking for returns. So, for every dollar she or he gives you, they're expecting a certain percentage back. So, in the VC space, you often hear this idea of 10x returns. And what that simply means is for every dollar I invest in you, I am looking for $10 back. An investor needs to know that you know your business better than he or she knows your business, because remember, the investor will have a set thesis, right? So there will be a set type of company that they're looking to invest in. So for example, AI-backed fitness, wellness-based businesses, let's just say. So they're going to have a good understanding of the industry, but they want to know that you know and you really understand the business and specifically your customer, because this lets them put their trust and their confidence in your ability to provide those 10x returns that they're looking for.
You advise dream big, think small as a means to succeed in growing business. What do you mean by this?
Have big goals. Set out to do the things that no one else wants to do or is bold enough to do, but think very small and incrementally about how you're going to deliver value and how you're going to show up. And there are 4 questions I typically have people ask themselves. So think about your customer. Being in an empathetic place, think from your customer's perspective, what are your customers thinking about your product or your service? What are they saying? What are they doing, right? What are they currently doing to get the service or the product that you're actually selling today? And then what do they believe, right? What are their value systems?
How do you determine whether your small business or innovative ideas is fundable at all?
You determine whether your business or your innovative idea is fundable by first making sure you're delivering value. In a nutshell, if your business can make money before an investor can reach you, you know you have a fundable, or at least you're on the road to having an idea or a business model that's fundable. But we use something called a business model canvas that helps us understand and analyze a business from 3 different perspectives, right? So we ask the questions around desirability, feasibility, and viability. So desirability, you think about, does your customer want this? Do they need this? And why? Next, we think about feasibility, right? So that's simply can you do this? And why are you best set up to do this? So think about the activities and even the partners that you'll need to run the business and grow the business. And then lastly, you want to think about viability, right? Can you do this? You're looking at how much are we bringing in versus what we're spending. So if you can deliver on providing quality vegetarian or vegan meals, but it costs $40 a plate for lunch, now it's not so much of a viable option. Now we want to consider perhaps making a few tweaks or going back to the drawing board. So asking those 3 questions and leveraging the business model canvas, I find, is very helpful.
All right, let's say you've determined your business isn't really investable at this stage. How do you grow it?
First, you want to get very clear, hyper-focused on what you're doing. An example of this is, I've worked with a woman who both had a nonprofit and a business. It was a fashion jewelry business. And she was investing a lot of time in both. And, specifically for women of color, we're often juggling everything at once. And so I had to sit with her and really just say, we're going to hyper focus on the business, because with hyper focusing on the business, the income and the revenue that you're making from that will help support your nonprofit. So get very clear, right? You may have to say no to a few things, and that's okay. Just like you may have to say no in terms of, the grandeur and the scale in which you wanted to launch. You want to take a step back and think about what's the minimum viable product here, right? What's the smallest thing that I can deliver value on and still make a profit?
Entrepreneurship is very difficult, and you've designed a workshop leveraging the similarities between business innovators and autistic creatives to teach businesses how to execute a plan for growth. Tell us about it.
Yes, it is. And I'm really excited to be working with creative thinkers and businesses alike to help them build value incrementally. So creatives are not just, artists and singers and dancers like we traditionally think of when we hear the word creative. They're innovators, and they create tools, products, and services that have complexity. So they have a multitude of ideas that they want to get off the ground, but oftentimes that complexity becomes overwhelming. And so I come in and I help them break that down through a framework that I use called design thinking. So design thinking is a collaborative and solution-focused way to solving problems. It's also very much so rooted in empathetic understanding of the people that you're looking to serve, people that you're looking to be your customers. And so with that, I start people off by just getting a clear big picture. We do whiteboarding sessions where we're able to just do brain dumps of, all the things that we know and understand about the problem, about the customer. And then throughout the process, I'm able to get them to the point where they can have something tangible, whether it's a prototype or it's just an MVP of a product and service, and get it to somebody that will actually use it, right? So getting it in front of your customers.
Melissa, how can our audience members reach you?
Yes, your audience can reach out to me in a few ways. So first, you can go to www.melissasjackson.com. There's a button that just says talk to me. You can reach out to me directly. You can also be on the lookout for other updates as to how you can get in touch and sign up for a workshop. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Melissa S. Jackson. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Melissa Jackson, for being with us today. We'll be right back with more Women Lead.
At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin, Pammies, Norris, Weeks, Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
Be sure to save the date for the 10th Annual Women of Color Empowerment Conference to take place September 11th, 2021 at the Hilton Beach Resort in Fort Lauderdale. Be sure to go on nationalwomenofcolor.com to find out more about sponsorship opportunities and how you can be a part of this amazing conference on social justice in America. We'll see you there, and until then, be empowered. Welcome back to Women Lead. We're so excited to have with us today Felicia Hatcher. Felicia is an innovative powerhouse. She has recently become the CEO of Black Ambition, a bold vision founded by Pharrell Williams to connect Black and Latinx and HBCU startup founders to unprecedented capital and access through prize competitions.
Felicia, your own entrepreneurial story is so compelling. Tell us a little bit about your background as a business owner before you got into venture capital.
I started my first business as a 19-year-old college student who had won $130,000 in scholarships and grants to go to college as a C student, and was bombarded with requests from family and friends and church people to like help teach their kids and work with their families on how to do the exact same thing. And my mom was like, you need to turn that into a business. And so I started my first business at Lynn University at 19 years old, and it was an educational consulting company. It sounds more sophisticated than it was back then, but I consulted nonprofits and organizations and youth events and you name it on scholarships, specifically for non-traditional students, and then how to get into college in non-traditional ways, which without knowing really fueled the work that I have done since. And so worked in corporate America for a while. When the economy tanked in 2008, myself and my husband moved back to Florida and launched a food business, a food startup here. And we're able to call Google and PayPal and Forever 21 and Wells Fargo and Whole Foods, a long list of corporate 500 clients, our clients. From there, we started Code Fever. I ran a small software company as well, a consulting agency over the years too, where we create content as well as digital trainings and marketing support for Spotify, for Google, for Target, for Walmart, just to name a few, as well as speaking. And so I've had a long and interesting and windy road as an entrepreneur, and it has fueled all the work that I've done to support and build communities for entrepreneurs, which is largely the work that I've done over the past 7 years, co-founding the Center for Black Innovation with my husband, Derek Pearson, and then with my partner, Sarah Smith. And
now that you are engaged in providing funding through Black Ambition, what is your approach going to be?
A few months ago, I started a conversation and I was approached to become the CEO of Black Ambition, which is a really bold initiative led and founded and kind of the brainchild of Pharrell Williams to provide unprecedented access to capital and resources and kind of entrepreneurial scaffolding for Black and Latinx startup founders, as well as HBCU founders as well. Giving away about over $3 million in those three categories of HBCU concept and prize, and then a series of funding for Black and Latinx startup founders that have not reached $1 million in dilutive funding as of yet. And so that is our focus, that is our approach.
When people hear the name Felicia Hatcher across the nation, what comes to mind is Black Tech Week. You co-founded Black Tech Week, Miami. How did you decide to become involved as a leader of this important initiative?
You know, we founded Black Tech Week for a few reasons. I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's always you start the thing that didn't exist that you hoped that you had. So it was one part that. The other part is when we originally started what we were doing, we were a coding organization, Code Fever. And a lot of people didn't understand the importance of what we were doing, but other people, especially in South Florida, which was very disheartening, but in other places across the United States, coding camps, coding boot camps were definitely something that people knew about and were doing more and more. And then when you talk about the Black community, it just did not exist. And so we were training young people, and then we could not ensure that there was a job on the other end of that, an internship, or a pathway to them starting a technology business. And we didn't want to be a train and pray organization. So we're like, okay, we need to figure out how to actually build an ecosystem to support them. And so we had to build out the Black tech ecosystem and community. It did not exist in Miami prior to us, which sounds really great and people applaud us, but that was really hard pill to swallow, because it was unfortunate that no one cared enough to make sure that Black people were included in the tech economy. And that's still kind of happening right now, but it's a whole nother story for another time, y'all. Anyways, and so we started Black Tech Week. We have brought some of the biggest, boldest, most successful tech entrepreneurs, technology professionals, business entrepreneurs, historians, legends to our stages of Black Tech Week that we've run here in Miami for the past 5 years. And then we took it on a roadshow and ran it in 8 other cities across the US over the course of 2 years as well. And so we've done 14 Black Tech Weeks since we started Black Tech Week, and it's important. I think they raise the innovation potential of our communities and our conversations as well.
What is the most basic entree into the tech world that you would recommend for those of us who don't have a science and technology background, who would like to become a part of the space?
There's so many entry points into the technology space right now. Like, this is an entry point in the technology space, right? I'm not able to physically join y'all, but I'm recording this. And so whoever will be editing this, they're in the tech space, right? Technology is connecting us from a communication standpoint. And so I say the first part that I would say is like, what part are you interested in, and lean into that. I think when people think about tech, they immediately think about hard, like high tech, right? Or hardware, or building robots, or going with Jeff Bezos out to the outer space next month, and which I think is crazy. And it's not that. It's not always that, I should say. And so, like I said before, launching a podcast, you're in tech. You're using tech and communication to connect with people and share a message, right? You could be an ecosystem builder like myself and my husband are, or ecosystem architect, and you actually build the community to support and attract technology resources and dollars to the people that are in tech. There's so many different things that you can do. You can be an app developer, but you can also run a technology company and not actually touch any of the hardware or actually learn how to code, right? Like, you can be a project manager and just making sure that projects move along step by step and what in the way that things need to. You can be the CEO of a technology company. I now have someone that I can outsource the work to. I'm going to build a business on top of that, and I now have someone online that I can outsource to. So I can literally start a technology company in this very specific space tomorrow if I want to, because I have someone that can do the work. I can bring in the business, I can project management, I can do client relations, I can do account relations, and then I will make sure that the project gets communicated to this person, they get it done, I then get it back to the client. I now have a technology company. I now have an app development company. You do not have to overthink it in getting your feet wet. You just have to commit to yourself and saying, this is something that I want to do. I'm going to be curious and I'm going to explore. And then I'm going to find the easiest way for me to do this while I learn the other aspects of it, if I also want to kind of get my hands wet or my hands dirty in like building out the technology. But there's so many different ways to be in this space is what I'm ultimately trying to say.
What types of ventures are you coming across in your new firm that are started by people of color? And where do you see the gaps or opportunities for up-and-comers?
There's so many things that I'm seeing in the finalists for the prize competition. There's so many entrepreneurs that I'm seeing. Center for Black Innovation hosts an accelerator for Black founders. They just graduated 20 of those founders. as well. I think they're building, I'm seeing founders in the travel and tech space, in the fintech space. There's an amazing founder who's creating like essentially the LinkedIn for the formerly incarcerated so that they have a one place to go to kind of get their life back together and align and find the right resources. There's someone that's building a platform to better connect social entrepreneurs into the resources and the dollars that they need. There's someone else that's doing something that makes it easier for you to save money for home repairs. I think of it like what is an SSA? No, whatever y'all know what I'm talking about. The thing that you save money for like medical expenses. He's doing something like that for home repair, and I think that's just so cool, right? There's so many news and hyper local news for the millennial community, right? There's so many really cool things that I'm seeing in the pipeline. I think where there's some areas of opportunities, the crypto space is so wide open. The blockchain is so wide open. That's not going anywhere. I don't care how people say how volatile Dogecoin is or any of these other things, that is here to stay. And so, being able to share that up, being able to create new technologies, new education around that, we're ripe for innovation in that space. I think COVID itself has shown us that there are so many ways that we can solve problems and pivot. If you didn't use Uber Eats before, you're using it now. There's all these others that have popped up that are either hyper local or providing like that concierge level service to stores that you were not connected to or are not grocery stores, but you need that time saving, you need that concierge level, you need that thing delivered to you. And so there's a lot that exists and opportunities that are created. The possibilities are literally endless, but you don't know that unless you start, and you don't know that unless you lean in and ask questions of people and us, right? And so you can find our work at Center for Black Innovation or cfbi.org. I'm no longer the ED. I'm on the board now. And then you can find work around Black Ambition at blackambitionprize.com as well. And so thank y'all ladies for having me today. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm certainly a friend of the Institute.
Felicia, thank you so much for joining us today. You're certainly a friend of the Institute, and we appreciate you. That's our time for today, and thank you for watching Women Lead. Until the next time, be empowered.